I'm Jennifer Johnson. This presentation is for Dr. Eric Osman, Aspen University, Ethics and Psychology, Module 7 assignment. In this review, we'll take a look at confidentiality, what's an informed consent, what happens when clients turn 18, and what does parental notification actually mean. Issues in psychology involving ethics have to do with informed consent. What's a debrief? What protections are there for the participants? What's deception and confidentiality? And what does withdrawal mean? In this review, we'll take a look at some of the issues. How does a researcher gain informed consent, and what does that mean for the participant? What happens if the participant doesn't understand the informed consent? And understanding that confidentiality is key to a psychologist's code of ethics. When we discuss confidentiality, it certainly infers and means that the therapist, the psychiatrist, the psychologist, and mental health professionals must protect their clients' privacy by not revealing content of the therapy. There are exceptions to confidentiality, reporting child, elder, dependent adult abuse, called the duty to protect, and these are exceptions that may differ based on state laws. When we discuss client confidentiality, we must understand that psychologists can or must break confidentiality and take appropriate actions if there's a danger to themselves or a threat to the client, if the therapist is in need to share that information based on potential threats to the therapist or the client's well-being. Understand that there are laws and regulations in place, and again, these may differ based on the state. Client confidentiality has to do with details of planning suicide attempts, concrete signs of suicide attempt, planned violence towards others, planned future child abuse or formerly committed child abuse, and experiencing child abuse. These are some of the exceptions to the rule regarding client confidentiality. A therapist must ask for consent. There are safeguards when sharing information. Awareness of information that's confidential is critical. Therapists must stay up to date on the confidentiality laws and rules of the organization, of the state, and of APA requirements as well. When we look at confidentiality violations, sharing employee information, information obtained via third party, loss of trust, negative potential business impacts, civil lawsuits, and or criminal charges. There are confidentiality violations that are clear that therapists must avoid. What's informed consent? Well, it provides a safeguard for the patient's well-being. It serves as a form of legal protection for the therapist. Informed consent, interestingly enough, is beneficial for new therapists and may in fact generate some questions regarding consent. Informed participants must understand research purposes, duration, and procedures, their right to decline or withdraw, foreseeable consequences of declining or withdrawing. So if in fact there's a research proposal, participants must in fact be duly informed and agree to their participation in such therapy research. Informed consent involves requesting the written consent. Can be done online, can be done in person, can be an oral request. There are exceptions. When there's a medical emergency in which the patient cannot consent, then the informed consent may not be required. In addition, if there's a court-ordered treatment or treatments mandated by law, then the informed consent issue takes on a different category. Informed consent agreement must provide the nature of services provided, any issues related to purposes, goals, techniques, procedures, the therapist's qualifications, credentialing, previous experience that relevant, and their approach to providing counseling are essential in the informed consent agreement. What happens when clients turn 18? Well, typically parents generally the personal representatives, but when a client turns 18, in many states they are considered a legal adult and they are responsible for agreeing to therapy. Understand that when a client or a patient is under 18, then parents may be able to receive a copy of their child's mental health information. Again, state laws dictate many of these decisions. Parents cannot schedule an appointment if a minor is, if a student or a patient is 18 or older. 18-year-olds don't have to go to therapy, and parents or guardians cannot discuss with the therapist without the 18-year-old's consent. What's privilege? It provides patients or the client the right to prevent therapists from disclosing confidential information. It imposes no obligation, by the way, for the therapist to take any initiative in protecting the patient's confidences. Parent notification. Parents are granted the right to a healthcare provider's information. Parents are permitted to explain or engage with the therapist regarding their minor's information. These are references to support this presentation. Any questions?